You got BMW and Lexus, they're
They're all
back
back,
to
nobody
back.
cares. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You reminded me of a story, just real quick one. I was the head of sales administration for KNBC, and we had a beer company that just, I hated. They were just the nastiest people on earth, right? So, shut that thing off.
It's all right, I'll erase it.
Okay. So what I did is I put Mothers Against Drunk Driving right next to that.
Oh, God,
I
that's
put
great.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving right
Oh,
next to
no.
the
That's
beer
great.
commercial.
Smart.
Yeah, and of course I got the phone call. Oh, I didn't know, I'm sorry, you know, I'll give you your money back, sure. But you know, it's, when you work in the commercial department, you see commercials go wrong, especially on a very high, you know, even locally, not Fuchsia, but locally, when they're paying $30,000-$40,000 for a 30-second spot, maybe more for Los Angeles or Ventura or whatever, and you make a mistake, that's a lot of money. It really is. So we got, once again, I know you're all aware of it, you're all part of it, but the writing, compelling, interesting, engaging, you've got enough product there, and that's what you need to do, and then you, hopefully you can keep it up, and that's where you go. So, yes, sir.
Do popular TV shows have more commercial minutes than?
They just charge more.
You're right, just charge more. It's the same, it's what we call a commercial load. If it's a half-hour dud show and a half-hour hit show, it's the same commercial load.
I gotta see, I'm watching one show, I get a feeling that there's a lot more commercials on it.
Well, maybe there's a lot more messages. Okay, maybe they're doing 15s or 10s or whatever. I mean, I gotta tell you, the days of the 1-minute commercial are over with. It's 2:30s, 4:15s, you know, what, because and that's another one. What you're watching is a lot of clutter. That's what's going on. I mean, that's why people, when you have your remote, that's why it goes. By the way, it's another one. I saw a study, even when you fast forward through commercials, you know what they are. It's not like you really hear it, but the perception is there. I mean, you could do that. It's an interesting study. Okay, one more little funny?
No,
Okay.
we go until 1:30, you've got some time.
Till 1:30?
Yeah, 10:30 to 1:30.
Oh, good grief, okay, I thought it was 12:30, but whatever.
No.
Okay, so,
No, no, you don't have to, but I'm just saying.
okay,
Don't feel like.
hope I didn't upset you. Please, you know, tell your husband. Okay, thank you, take care. Turns out her husband was the director of photography on ER. The first episode of ER,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So when I said, well, give him the good news, I loved it. Yeah, and a lot of people did too. So it's, in terms of trying to be as careful as you can, scheduling what you can, and trying to make things as cohesive as possible. What I make my students do is when they're doing a report, they'll do one on syndication product, whichever. First one, not off-net. We don't want them doing I Love Lucy. I don't want them doing MASH or anything like that. I want them to do Judge Judy and live through it. Or what's one, Dr. Phil, or Ellen, any of those, the first ones. And try and understand the commercials as they relate to the show. You know, what type of commercials are in there? What's the demographics of what you're looking for? I try to, and they have to report all the commercials, the length of the commercials. And you just don't do that for a first time through. You have to record it, and you have to go back and do it. And then, on every project I have them do, and by the way, they can't do it on their laptop or their desktop. They have to do it on a real TV with either what we call a PVR, personal video recorder, or a DVR, which you all have if you've got satellite or cable. Go back and do it again and again and again until you get it. So you understand formatting. And for you guys, when you're writing, I know you talk in terms of pages. I know that. But in terms of what you're going to be doing for TV, you're going to talk in terms of time. How much time? How much is the first act? How much is second? Because now, as I mentioned to you, the normal length of a commercial pod is 4 minutes. Well, you don't want a 3-minute program segment. If you have a 4-minute commercial and your next segment up is 3 minutes, what's that going to do to your audience? It's going to upset them because you're going right into the next commercial. So it's timing is another issue between the two. Another one I told you about seamless, that we go from one show to the next without a commercial break. Another one we do is called a crossover. This is another sneaky one. You're watching a show, it's doing the end credits, okay? What they'll do, we don't shrink credits anymore, because you know, production companies get PO'd when you do that. What we'll do is we'll move them to the bottom of the screen, and we'll start the next show on the top of the screen. So we're doing two at the same time. So you're now watching the opening of a show and the closing credits. Nobody watches credits anyhow. Maybe they do, unless you're the caterer or whatever. So then what we'll do is you're watching the top, we'll wipe the bottom, full screen the top. Okay, that's another way of keeping people to go through all the time. These are kind of like I said, we want people to get the habit. We want them to obviously engage, enjoy what they're doing, and then continue back with it never again. I have to tell you right now, and this, I'll give you another analogy. My wife grew up with a family that had a bakery, okay, a French bakery. And I went over there to see the eclairs and all the good stuff in there. And I asked her mom if she owned a liquor store at the same time. She didn't get it. I thought it was funny. But the issue is that being in a, they wouldn't eat the stuff that they made. I mean, not that it wasn't good, but it was like there all the time. And so that's kind of like, quote, me being in the biz. I would watch the pilots. I would see how they would do to launch. And then after that, I wouldn't watch anymore because I had other things I had to do to maintain whatever we needed to do on the air. But I got a gist of what's going on. And right now, in terms of watching, just my own personal thing, I'll watch alternative shows, which is another term for it's called reality. Okay, I'll watch alternative because they're, and I would use the word fresh and that sort of thing. But I don't, but then I'll go to, just like everybody else, I'll go to streaming. I'll go to watch, we just talked about True Detective.
True Detective.
Okay, things like that, you know, this way. Now, here's another one. People don't watch regular TV for drugs, sex, rock and roll. Why? Because there's the thing called the FCC, right? We told you about standards. Television, free TV, is invited into your home. That's why we have standards. Pay TV or streaming, you're paying for it. You can do anything you want. You can have nudity, you can have drug, you can do anything. So there's a difference in terms of what can go on over the air. On one hand, I'll just use the term milk and cookies. On the other one, most of the basic stuff you've ever seen in your life. Those are two different types of things.
There is a lot of drug on TV for this demographics. A lot of drugs on the advertisement.
Oh, you mean advertising? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but not the shit you smoke.
the shit
Erase
you-
that. No, I mean, okay, you know what I'm talking about, the heroin sort of things, that sort of, yeah, no. In fact, if you're watching like cable news and whatever, all you see is Xarelto, which I take. I mean, up to 20 pills a day, I'm at that age now. But that's the sort of thing, that's what you get,
Yeah.
okay? But the rest of the stuff, I'm talking about programmatically, what you're gonna get with the shows, just, it just can't do that. And it's really kind of interesting in the context of what's acceptable and what isn't. I mean, I would get people say, boy, this stuff on regular TV is just shit. And I said, well, what are you watching? And they'll go, HBO. And I'm going, that's not us. You know, but a lot of people can't tell the difference between, you know, over-the-air television, OTT, and then cable or streaming or that sort of thing. Now, kids can. I got a 2.5-year-old grandson who's incredible with the little YouTube, baby YouTube. That little thumb's going, he's gonna get carpal tunnel thumb, but 2.5. He's already into this stuff, you know, he's already got it, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, Mikey?
How soon do you think, I know my wife in the morning, she wakes up and she gets a notice from KMIR, for instance, that 111 is closed, there was a big accident. How soon do you think it's gonna be before an HBO or a Netflix has a show like True Detective and hits you, if you I guess you get the app, tells you that True Detective's on tonight at 8 o'clock or whatever, and be sure to watch that. Because I think that the cell phone is like, I think Catherine Stanley was talking about, you're gonna be able to watch 1 minute, 2 minute movies on your.
Oh, hell, my wife, I'm gonna tell you, she's taking her beauty bath, she's got Netflix on her cell phone. The whole show. So, I mean, what we're doing now is just the beginning of it. There's still more to come, okay? There's still more to come. This is just the beginning of what's going on and stuff. And,
I was
okay.
alive.
I'm sorry.
I can remember when we got our first TV.
Remember, I started
It
in the
was that
silent era.
big.
I started in the silent era. I get people at work who used to piss me off, said, "You were here in the silent era?" I go, yeah, no, that's right. TV goes back to when it was a little screen this big, and my mother would have friends over, she'd make sandwiches and sit in the living room, okay? And I was the world's first remote. You guys know that? Remember the clicker?
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
the
you
click?
had to go up and change.
Okay, so that's why I wear glasses. I had to sit in front of the TV set. My dad was 10 feet back and I'd easy 2, click, 4, click, click, 7, click, click, click. All right, hold it there. All right, 13, click, click, click.
You have to move the
If you
rabbit
were to
ears
tell
too.
kids about this now, they think you're nuts. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I said you have to move the rabbit ears too.
Oh, the rabbit ears are coming back.
Yeah, that's how you cut the cord, they
No, no,
say.
yeah, no, rabbit,
Yeah.
I'm very serious. HD, or digital television, which you normally get over cable or you can get digital television over the air, but you need kind of like the rabbit ears thing
And
to
then
do
you
it.
don't have to pay the.
And you don't have to
cable
pay the fee.
companies. Yeah.
You don't have to pay the
I'd
fee.
like to
I'm
figure
sorry, I'll
out
get to you in a
how to
second, go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I
I've
don't know
actually
if it-
done it. We don't have TV through any of the normal ways.
Yeah,
We have a little bitty disc about that size on the roof,
yeah,
and
and
we
you get
get
digital.
67
Yeah.
local channels.
Yeah.
Plus then we have Hulu, Netflix.
Well, you're getting that streaming, because you've cut the cord.
all the streaming.
Yeah,
we've cut
well,
the
streaming is doing it, streaming's good.
But now my question is, did I understand you to say that Disney bought Fox?
Fox, no, not the whole Fox. They bought the let's call the word library.
Ah,
Okay, it's not, you'll still be able to get Fox News and all that other good stuff, but you're not gonna,
well, I don't want it.
well, whatever. I'm not gonna, believe me, I am not gonna go, I am not gonna go down that road.
No, that's what I was
Yeah,
questioning,
Yeah.
whether or not Disney would affiliate itself with one political party or another, and
No,
I
I
didn't
wouldn't
think
think so.
so.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
Has nothing to do with it.
okay.
First
good.
off, it's like, the big companies like Comcast, GE, you know, they try to stay out of those woods. It's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. I mean, there's always something on. Although I gotta admit, for the longest time, GE was connected with the Obama administration. There was a lot of job things that they were trying to do then.
Mhm.
But for the most part, you don't venture into that minefield. You don't go there. I'm sorry, go ahead. Some of
Well-
you go
No, you
ahead.
talked about the
I can't hear you.
changing the channel and the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
How many times did you get sent to the drugstore to get the tube?
The little machine for the tubes?
Yeah,
Yeah, boy, you hit a nerve on that one. Boy, did you ever, first off, my dad could swear really good. And if that TV went out, he went crazy and I had to take a box full of tubes. You really hit a nerve. And this before color too, by the way.
Oh,
Box,
yeah.
yeah, remember I said black and white? Box, I had to go down and push those little buttons and, don't go there. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, you know, for, if anybody's working on something that Wise Guys Cooking, which comes on at what, 11:30?
Yeah,
You know, that was all shot at Studio 55. So if you have something that you're working on and you're looking at hopefully getting it produced, it's capable within the Desert Screenwriters to actually get something on air, you know, and get it produced, you know. And so with that now, you're breaking down smaller segments, right, of what we had originally shot, you know, and putting those on there now so we can draw it out for a longer season, you know.
Remember, we used to do Hollywood Squares and do 4 shows a day, 5 shows a day, and
oh, you hit a nerve, I gotta tell you a story about that, go ahead.
we would do 5, Let's Make a Deal, 3 or 4 shows a day, and a bunch of those shows. And so we did the same thing at Studio 5. I wrote a bunch of scripts, and we've got tons of segments.
Sure.
And Rocco, my son, is trying to
You
edit
put them
all of
together, sure.
so that they equal 28 minutes and 30 seconds,
Yeah.
including 10 minutes of commercials. So you got 18 minutes of show and,
Oh, okay.
and 10 minutes of
But
commercials,
you're fitting into a format.
plus a laugh track. It's a
Oh, that's
lot
cool.
of fun.
That's
But
cool.
it's not fun for me.
No,
It's-
you're
and It's
working.
not fun for him either.
No, you're working.
Yeah.
Come on. That's
But
what you're
it's
supposed to
like
do.
she said, Studio 55, one of my son cracks me up when I tell him, I can look at a movie on TV and I can see how much it costs to make based on what you do.
Yeah.
If it's done in one or two locations, it's not gonna be as expensive as
Sure.
going around the world and shooting all this
Oh,
other
yeah,
stuff.
it's great. Well, there's the budgets, I mean, you always got that. Michael didn't know about the Hollywood Squares. We're right, what they would do is they would do 5 shows in one night, they'd do 3, take a break, and then do 2. They'd start sometime in the afternoon, go to whatever time. But what they would do is, you've heard, you know what the green room is, right? Everyone knows about the green room, you go in there before you go on the show. Well, they would serve dinner in there. And as soon as the show would come up, we would go in and see what's left over.
Always good stuff.
Oh, and the best one was, in fact, one of our buddies we had lunch with the other day, got a whole steak, okay, hadn't been touched. And so he's picking it up and he's jamming this thing in his mouth, and one of the gals who was on the show caught him.
Who was it?
I ain't gonna say, cause you're not gonna erase it. And so, caught him, went through the roof, and he's trying to get this thing down when Judith's right. And she was saving that steak for her dog. You know, it was silly, stupid stuff. Let's make a deal. Okay, yeah, I think it's still on somewhere. I see it in the syndication one.
Well, a lot of us
When
guys
waiting.
would get our girlfriends or good friends and tell them how to dress,
Yeah,
and then they'd get picked on the show and they'd win a refrigerator
Yeah.
or